Hi everybody, welcome back. It's Dr. Hydro. So today we went to Lowe's and purchased these off of the Dead and Dying rack. Got a great deal on them. Hopefully you've already gone to the store as well and checked out your Dead and Dying rack to see if there's any plants you can rehabilitate. You're gonna come home and be very proud of yourself, and you're going to want to put these with your other plants, but you really shouldn't do that. You don't know what you're bringing home in nursery soil. So I've already seen bugs crawling out and a couple fungus gnats, and though that's not terrible, I don't want to spread that in my already thriving garden. These need to be put into what I want them to be in, which is coir and pearlite mix. Before I do that, I'm gonna have to rinse off these roots. And as you can see, these plants are really suffering. It's gonna be really fun to see what I can turn this into. All right, so I'm gonna mix up what I want these plants to be living in. I don't want them to be living in that nursery soil. I don't know what's in it. So I'm gonna mix up my cocoa perlite mix. This is just a cocoa that I had the other day. I hydrated it in pH balanced water, and it's just been sitting waiting for me to use it. So I don't want to use it by itself. I want to mix it with some perlite to help the drainage. So I poured out half the mixture, and I'm kind of aerate the bottom. And here is about how much I have in here. So about here to the top of this red line. There's no scientific way that I do this. I don't pour a ton of this perlite in there. Perlite is not going to affect the pH of my cocoa, so I'm not too concerned about overdoing it or underdoing it. I've already taken the time to Google and find out what these plants that I bought like to live in. So 5.5 to 6 is where violas like it to be so that they can eat. They won't eat outside of that range. They won't eat all of the food you put on their plate outside of that 5.5 to 6, and I really want them to eat everything that I give them. That's what's called a nutrient lockout. When your pH is not in the ideal range for the plant that you're growing, and remember that pH balance range can vary from plant to plant. I added a little bit more cocoa in there so that I can have enough to fill in the pots that I have to transplant these plants into. So I'm gonna take the best looking one of these right now, which is this one. It actually has some flowers, but it's got a lot of issues. These were extremely dehydrated when we got there this morning. We're in Central Florida. These plants don't like a whole lot of full sun. Central Florida, full sun. South Florida, full sun, and even some parts of Northern Florida, full sun, are not the common full sun that these plants like. The label says full sun, but I don't think that applies to Florida. If you live in Florida, you know that our sun is brutal. So these plants were extremely dehydrated. I felt awful. I wanted to take them all home with me. So right now I'm trying to get the soil that it's in away from the edges of the container with gentle squeezes. You don't want to yank this plant out of its container. Some of the roots are already coming through the bottom, so I'm guessing this plant's starting to get root bound, which means that the roots are kind of just growing into themselves and making it all stick together. Oh, root growth galore. Look at that. I would have been kind of upset if I paid full price for this, but lucky for me, Lowe's and Home Depot have a return policy on their plants. So they have a 90-day return policy. So if this plant dies within 90 days, I keep the receipt and bring it back to the store. They'll give me a new one or give me my money back. So I'm gonna go ahead and start hydrating this and massaging the roots. This might take a minute because this is extremely root bound. This is like a container in itself. And if I try to break this wall, I could damage a lot of roots here, and the plant just could be a loss. This means that the roots have been living in this tiny little container for way too long. And you can even see here, you can just tell from the surface that these have outgrown their tiny little containers. So I'm gonna have to take the risk on this one because I don't wanna lose it. I could either chuck it, which kills me to do, or I can just go ahead and transplant it into a bigger container and hope for success. There's nothing bad about mixing the Coir perlite mix with whatever this is, but I was hoping to keep it pure because I can control what's in here. I put it in there, but I don't know what's in here. It's got these little time release fertilizers, not even a whole lot left in here. So here's one right there, that little green dot. Sometimes people mistake these for bugs, eggs, or something like that, and it's just a time release fertilizer. Let's see what I can do. So I'm gonna move it into this size of a container because I need to get, first I need to stock up on bigger containers, but also I'm not really big on putting this little tiny plant into a giant pot. I like it to grow into that. And this pot is gonna be okay for this plant right now because it's just about the height of this pot. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this mix in up to the lip of the pot. This plant's gonna be happier than it has been no matter what I do right now. So here's another one that I bought from Lowe's today. This one was not on the discount rack, but I love this kind of plant. It's a polka dot plant. So I bought it, and we can see down here, it's got some really healthy roots. So I was really excited to get it out of this container right away and into a pot. So, because when I take this home and I set it down on a surface, I've smushed these roots. I have smashed them. So I want to stop any further damage I might have caused or that the store might have caused just by this thing sitting flat. So I'm going to go ahead and gently coax this guy out of the container, trying not to disturb all the foliage up here. What a difference. You can tell that this plant was not in this container for as long, and that's what root bound means, is that it kind of just encircles its own self with the roots. So, and it forms like this really tight wall, and it's almost impossible to break through. So the plant probably won't grow out any further. But this one is looking really nice. And this is also separating a whole lot better than the other. So I'm not gonna force this away. I'm just gonna kind of keep gently submerging it, keeping the leaves above the surface of the water. I want to get as much of this stuff off because I don't know what's in it. Some of this stuff is just like mulch mix with potting soil with time release fertilizer. Probably the cheapest stuff. All right, I'm going to get some of this mixture in this pot. And you don't want to heavily press on your pot when you put your mixture in there because you want the soil to be nice and loose and airy. So here's how much I put in there. I could wash this off further, but I think that I've done enough for now. And I'm gonna go ahead and just set this guy in there. And I'm keeping this, the lip of this pot level with where the plant breaks the surface of the dirt that was in there. And this is gonna make my really beautiful house plant. This will make it so I don't feel like I'm bringing any pathogens or any kind of bugs into my house that might have snuck in through the nursery's dirt, the nursery's mediums. Because like I said, I've already seen fungus gnats, and those are really annoying. All right, so this soil is dripping. It's, you know, it's very saturated. Coir does drain really fast, so I'm not too concerned about the fact that I've oversaturated this. It's just gonna drain right out. And then once that happens, I'm gonna bring it inside, and it's gonna be my new office plant. And we can already see that this plant was kind of droopy before. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like it looks happier. So that's how you transplant a nursery plant into your own growing medium to make sure that you have the proper nutrients in it, the proper pH, and so you don't bring any pests into your home from the soil. If you like the content, please like and subscribe and keep coming back for more. Thank you.